George Russell says he feels like he's driving better than ever after winning his first race of the season at the Canadian Grand Prix. The Mercedes driver, who started on pole, held the lead from Max Verstappen, and mostly on that first corner. When he get into that first corner was the biggest part of it. For the start of the race, controlled it all the way through. Let's welcome the legend that is Guenther Steiner, former principal of F1 Team Haas and legend of Drive to Survive. Guenther, how are you, sir?
Good morning, Guenther.
Good morning, guys. I'm good, thank you. How about you?
Oh, well, very good. You are a legend,
yes.
and we are very honoured to be talking to you. So let's start with Russell versus Verstappen. This hatred seems to just be getting bigger and bigger. This rivalry keeps happening. A, how did it start? And B, is it good for Formula One to have rivalries that we're now talking about on radio shows?
Yeah, no, I think it's good, and it all started in Barcelona when Max drove into George Russell at the end of the race, and then got a penalty of 10 seconds. So, but he did it. He did it not do it on purpose, but it was not unpurposely. So it's in something between. So it started there, and obviously the next race, George Russell beats Max Verstappen to pole position. Max didn't like that, and there's a bit of rivalry, but it's always good as long as it stays fair, and it seems to be staying fair so far, because at the start in Canada, it was all fair and square.
Guenther, but you look at them this season, Max has only won 2 out of the first 10 races. This time last season, he'd won 7 out of the first 10. We're seeing a change that a lot of Formula One fans want to see, where it's different drivers winning races. It's good for the sport, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very good for the sport. As you said, last year, it seemed like in the beginning of the year it would be another domination of one team and one driver, mainly because the second driver of Red Bull always struggles a little bit. But this year we had so many guys winning already, and so many different cars winning already. So it is quite amazing. And, everybody, and me included, thought that McLaren has the edge on everyone. It wasn't like this in Canada. I think they were clearly the third fastest car, not even the second fastest. So any race, depending on the racetrack, is open.
When you talk about that, Guenther, when you talk about races, and we looked at McLaren at the start of this year, it was like, right, they're going to be nailed on 1 and 2. What is it from being a team principal that has changed from course to course? Is it just as simply each racetrack is completely different, or is it sometimes a little bit more articulate than that we don't really know as normal punters?
Yeah, it's a little bit more difficult. Some cars are better on fast racetracks, some on slower, but also it depends how much the driver likes certain racetracks. It's the drivers. Sometimes one driver likes fast racetracks, one very complex, slow one, and then also the race weekend setup. How good you dial the car into a certain racetrack, how good your engineers are, how good they set the car up for you, how much simulator work you do during the week to get the car in the right window to be fast, and the whole thing is because the cars are so close together. If you saw in Canada, in Q1, which is the first qualifying session, the fastest from the slowest was 0.8 of a second.
Yeah, I just want to say, you're talking about cars getting close and how close that is. As a former team principal, when you look at Piastri and Norris coming to clipping each other there, how is that? How frustrating is that as a team principal? Because you want your drivers to race, but obviously you would like both drivers to finish in the points as a bigger picture for the whole team, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and there was no way that you can get past, and Lando clearly made a mistake there, and he stood up for it at the end. But for McLaren, they actually were very lucky, because normally with an incident like this, Oscar Piastri should have a damage on the rear tire as well, because it goes straight into him, and then as a team you lose precious points, but not only with one car, with 2 cars, and with being so competitive now, the championship, you never know who is coming up in the second half of the season, and every point you lose now, you could miss to win the championship. So very frustrating when something like this happens.
Guenther, Mercedes were in great form, Russell winning, but also 18-year-old Antonelli finishing 3rd. How good was that to see? And also how frustrating for maybe Lewis Hamilton, seeing how well 2 Mercedes drivers have done?
Yeah, I never thought about that one, how he feels. But Mercedes this year, they never won, but they were on the podium a few times, and they always said that Mercedes finishes third on a race weekend, and nobody noticed it. But now everybody noticed that Mercedes has got this ups and downs as well this year. So it for sure was good for Mercedes. But as you say, a new driver, a young driver coming on the podium is always a big moment, because Kimi Antonelli it wasn't his last podium. It wasn't his first, but it wasn't his last, It was his first, sorry, but not his last. So
Yes.
anyway, he will be coming back, and he's like this young man, which is the future of Formula One.
And really quickly, before we get to the break, with Ferrari, and Gabby just alluded to Lewis Hamilton and their continued struggles, how does that feel? How do you motivate a driver with the two wonderful drivers and clearly a decent car? How do you motivate them to keep going, and what are the small tweaks that you would change just looking in?
I mean, how you have to motivate them, just always give them the best possible. And obviously that needs a little bit of talk, because always the discussions during the race about strategy, they don't help, over the radio, because they take everyone down. If there is not enough information, inform them before the race more what you're going to do, for example. But Fred Vasseur knows what to do there. But it's just like working hard, the only thing you can do, working hard, doing a lot of simulator work, so they get as best as possible prepared. But there's no magic behind it. It's just hard work.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.